No, I think this one I just did with Victoria, I think has over 2,000. So we're getting the word out there. It's growing and expanding
So
very
I'm starting
quickly.
the recording then. Amazing.
Uh, yeah, let's try it. Yeah, it's working here on Facebook. We'll go on there and getting back here. Meeting is being recorded. Hi, everyone. We're back again. And tonight, Nicki is sharing her story with Child's Services and, of course, the illegal abduction of children in this theme by the Child Services. And we had one earlier today with Sister Victoria, which is a huge group joining forces with us. And so we are bringing everyone together as a huge, powerful voice worldwide to return all of the children. We say immediately. And so this is imminent, what is occurring. It's just how long this process takes to get everyone united and to put the actual laws against the corrupt, illegal system. So we no longer call it a legal system because it's not. It's unlawful. And it's being exposed right now to the point that it cannot conceal itself any longer. And that many great souls worldwide are taking it upon themselves to speak publicly and expose this corrupt system, but not only the corrupt system, to shed even more light on the intentional, sinister, and nefarious actions involved in taking the children on all levels. Some children vanish. The moms, for the most part, are psychologically tortured, many sadistic things. So everyone knows this, and that is watching this, and those that don't know it, you'll learn and you'll see more as we bring more testimony, evidence, and witness to this effect that it is very real and that it's being exposed. And for the public that did not know how real this is, yes, this can be shocking. However, we are in the times of revelations, if you will, which just means that all is revealed to humanity. And we are in a great time of ascension, regardless of who believes it or not. It is occurring, and many more each day are awakening to that fact that this is real. And this is very important to know this, because what this means is that there is the divine intervention to assist with changing everything that's been occurring evilly in the system to create the way things should be. No suffering for anyone, families back together, children with their moms and all of and their families, their moms and dads. So as we break down the system, beast system worldwide, what you're currently living in, is the core problem to families being separated and all of the harm and everything that comes with that. So again, with the new replacement system that we are creating for the world, it brings all of the families together as they should be in love. In the past, yes, some relationships did not sync with each other. However, in this time, everyone will be into a unity and bring the families together that needs to come together. But it's apparent that some parents will not. But what we will do in the future is all of those in alignment with love and harmony will be together. And in this great time of separating the wheat from the chaff, if you will, the ones in their heart, the authentic divine souls, go forward, and the children as well into a joyous, happy world. So, having said that, we have Sister Nicki with us from Ireland, I believe.
UK, from the UK.
From the UK. Great,
Yeah.
yeah. And Nikki is going to share her story. So without further ado, Sister Nikki from the UK to share her important story as well. So,
Yeah. So I'll start at the beginning. I don't know if I need to or not, but I'll start with the basics. I left a controlling and coercive marriage in November 2019 with my children with the aid of the police. We then were in the court system, going through planning when the children could be seen and by whom and at what time, and all that was going on. At that point, there's a social worker involved, and she comes through, and she has only just qualified. She's age 18. She's only just qualified. Very soon, the ex-husband has her. These are the only words I can think of using. He has her wrapped around his little finger. That's the start of it. Then the social workers start changing very quickly. That's the next thing that happens. But I'm going in and out of the court system doing childcare things. That's how it starts. Then I won't go into all the details, but there's an incident where I'm told to not let the husband see the children. I've consulted the police, and I've been told not to let the husband see the children, and to stop all contact. That is occurring at the beginning of 2020, and as soon as I implement that, literally about 2 days later, the husband goes for full custody of the children. I then have to get myself a barrister. He's got a barrister. I have to get myself a barrister. Basically, because we're still in this COVID era at this point, I am on a live Zoom call in my solicitor or lawyer's office. I'm put on the top floor of a building, and I'm on a live Zoom call. Basically, what happens then is, because I'm on a live Zoom call, they can't see me. They can only see the top of my head. So I cover the table in crystals, and I'm doing light language under the table. My ex-husband comes on. I don't know if this is too much information. He comes on to the live call, and he's on there for literally 5 minutes. That adjourns, and they come back and they agree that I have custody of the children. So this is now July 2020. I am granted custody of the children. It happens within the space of 10 minutes. My solicitor, can't believe that it's happened like that. It normally takes 2 hours. It's never happened like that. So I get custody of the children. The next thing that happens is I've got custody. Shortly before August, my
may I ask
daughter,
a question?
yeah.
Yeah, because this is very important. I actually have two questions, if I may, before we go further. Number one, you piqued my interest when you said there was an 18-year-old that was a child care worker.
She
Um,
just qualified.
just qualified. And what position was she in? What
She was
role
my
did she?
she was my children's, because we were still in that COVID phase. So it was we had to sit in the garden, we had to be apart, or we had to do it on a video call. It was to interview the children, so that basically, this sounds awful, but basically so they could pick which parent they wanted to live with. But I had to be out of the room, so it didn't come across like I was trying to influence them that they were going to live with me. So she was their social worker. So she was like a liaison officer, but she had only just qualified. She was 18 years old. She'd never had any children. She was out of her depth. She was totally out of her depth. I had lived with this man for 18 years or longer, 20 years. And I had lived with him. So I knew the ways inside out. I knew the manipulation, the control. I knew it. She didn't have a clue. But I didn't feel strong enough. I was voicing these things, but I didn't feel solid enough and grounded enough to. It was just
Well,
me. It felt
also
like just
bewildered,
me.
Yeah, I would love to say, if I may, you were bewildered in observing, what was going on, but also you are an incredible empath at being able to feel the energies and detect and discern when something is not energetically in alignment. So you're
Yes.
able to detect the distortions and also to know when someone is lying, you can feel it and you know it. And so with this, with the child care, so she was a liaison to interview, I believe, just the children to
Just
ask
for
them
children.
what they
But this is the kind of this is the start of it. We haven't got to the nuts and bolts yet because um so the husband is using at this point. So from probably January 2020 up until July 2020, he is I'm going in and out of court constantly. And the way that the legal aid, it may have changed now, the way that the legal aid worked then was even if you've been in a domestic abuse situation, if you leave the house, you've got no right to go back in that house, even if you own it with the ex-husband, which was what was happening to me. But you can't get legal aid because they class that as your second home. That's your holiday home. That's your holiday home, which is nuts. That's your holiday home. So you can't get legal aid. So I was representing myself often in court. I didn't have a solicitor, or I had one in the background who I could speak to, but she wasn't allowed to come into the court with me. But the court was all online at this point. But
Mhm.
so this happened. I get custody in the July. My daughter, she's age 10 at this point, Jasmine. She comes downstairs 2 weeks before she's taken. She comes downstairs and she hands me my birthday card. And she says, I'm 48 then, I'm 52 now. She hands me my birthday card and she says to me, I don't know why I'm giving this to you early. I just know that I have to give it to you early. 2 weeks later, they were gone. Her and her brother were gone. So what happens is I experienced a Kundalini awakening, which the mental health team, the social service team class as a psychotic episode. So I end up I am going into all different dimensions at this point, and I phone the police to report a crime that happened, but it I'm in quite a few dimensions, so it's not in that time frame. But I phone the police to report this crime. It's a sexual abuse crime, and at this point, this is where, when I was speaking to Nessa earlier, both of us got the words black magic. And what happens then is the police turn up, but they turn up in a riot van. There are two male police officers and a female, and my children are inside the house and I'm sat in the garden, and one of the male police officers goes into the cottage that I'm renting, and I can hear screaming from inside the cottage. My daughter runs out of the cottage screaming, saying, they won't believe us, mummy. They won't believe us, mummy. They won't believe us. She sits on my lap. She clings to me and she says, they won't believe us. And then he comes out with his hands up going, I didn't touch her. I didn't touch her. And then we go off in this riot van, and I think that I'm going to report a crime. I end up at A&E where they're going to assess me, but I don't know that. But we go into A&E and we spend 12 hours in A&E, the three of us, myself, my son, and my daughter. We go in, we spend 12 hours there with zero food, but this is all in alignment because while we're there, a call comes through on their radio, because the whole time I'm there with the police, it's like, but it feels like you're under an armed guard. A call comes through over their radio reporting a domestic abuse that's occurring in Haverfordwest in Pembrokeshire in Wales. They are called to go to that scene, but they've lost the keys to the riot van. They now are scrabbling around, the three of them, trying to find the keys to the riot van to go to a domestic abuse situation which is occurring. The domestic abuse situation which they're describing, which I can hear on their radios, is the one that I've just left with the ex-husband. It's the same pattern. So that's the first thing. Then the next thing is I get taken into a room with a psychiatrist and two nurses. The children get taken into another room. I don't see them again. That's it. They've gone. And but the thing is, some strange things start happening in the room.
Indeed. May I divinely just interrupt here for a moment because
Yeah.
you're touching on a very important subject for all of our viewers that perhaps before we go forward, I'd like to give some more information on this. And what you're touching on, uh, but just simply to what is the acronym AE? What does that mean? Could you
Oh,
just share?
accident and emergency.
All right, thank you
So
for that. Now,
hospital basically.
yes, emergency room or what have you. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you for that clarity. So with the Kundalini awakening, what occurred, what we need to say to all of the viewers that yes, this is very real. Many of us can attest to this, what occurs. And what we need to say, uh, it happens abruptly for many, and it's a very important part of the spiritual development, but also in this very important time. And when this occurs, it's important for ones to know that you're not psychotic, you're not insane, there is nothing wrong with you. Actually, what is occurring is your brain is going through a neurogenesis and you are evolving not only into a super consciousness, a higher level of consciousness, but also your awareness changes to a match different dimensions and timelines. And this
Yeah.
is very, very real. And those of us that have experienced it know that it is the higher consciousness and that it is very real in the least. However, what occurs with ones, and what I will share quickly, is just a couple days ago, a masculine in the UK had began to go through a Kundalini. They locked him up and strapped him all down very quickly because Orthodox medicine and psychology, it doesn't understand this. They don't know it. They are ignorant to this very important thing that is occurring worldwide. So what they look at it is as a sickness when it's actually an expansion of one into their parapsychological gifts, their
Yes.
divine empowerment. So
Yes.
the where they don't understand it, they think it's a sickness, but it's actually
Yes.
the opposite, that they are not psychologically advanced enough yet, and their perception on reality is negative oriented and manipulated and controlled. And this is a huge um, part of the transitioning, but to keep it short so Nicki can give us our story, it can become confusing, and it's a good time to bring this up if your reality begins to change around you, one of the things with your Kundalini awakening is that typically first you will feel some sort of a physical warmth or energy in your heart area. This is one of the first indications that you're feeling love that you have never felt before. It's not a human energy or a human love, but more predominantly, what is more impactful is in what we call your root area. So, in your sexual energy area, if you will, that can become very intensive with heightened energy that you are not creating by your own attraction, if you will, to another. It comes on its own and it's very powerful. And when these things begin to occur, because humanity is not taught about any of this in school or anywhere, because it's relatively new, it can begin to make things very confusing. And one of the reasons why is because you're no longer in one reality. You are able to access all time and space, if you will. You're able to transcend there. So, what Nicki is sharing, her gifts began to activate, and she could see what was occurring from a medium or a psychic
Yeah.
aspect. She could see something that was occurring, but they would
Yes.
not believe her because they did not know it exists, because they were actually uneducated and ignorant, if you will, in this field of a very true and powerful thing and a very important part of psychology. So
Yes.
having said that,
Yes.
oh, and one more thing, and I'll keep it short, I promise. What I love is when you said you were doing light language and crystals, and a normal 2 hour decision only took 10 minutes. What I
Yes.
wish to say is your powers work, and that's why miraculously it only took 10 minutes. So
Yes.
we need to share with the rest that are watching that yes, your powers are very real, but your powers are more powerful when you trust and believe in them. When you're
Yes.
doing everything good and right, you are backed up by divinity and things will change miraculously. Please continue. Thank
Absolutely
you.
spot on. Absolutely spot on. I've lost my train of thought now. That is so spot on. Um, so I also want to talk about, I know this isn't about the Kundalini waking up, but I do want to bring that up because the entire veil on humanity was gone at that point. So a lot of the things that people are sharing about the ascension now, it was like I was given a diary of those events that are now occurring at that time. And I was tapped into the child trafficking system at that point. I saw it all. I saw everything. So I am going back to when I'm in, they're taking me to accident and emergency. My children are in one room, I'm in another. I'm greeted by an Indian, and this is really important. I'm greeted by an Indian psychiatrist. He is top of his field, and two nurses. And we start talking. I look at the psychiatrist directly in the eyes, and I can tell that he has child sexual abuse. He knows I know the way he's looking at me. So he takes me out of that room and he says, "Come with me." And does sound like madness, but this is what happened. He says, "Come with me." We walk through the accident emergency where it's really busy in the hospital. And I'm trying to speak to him from a higher dimension. And he's saying, "Shh, shh, you can't speak here. Shh, shh, not here. Don't speak here, Nicki. Don't speak here." He takes me outside of the building into a darkened corner and he talks to me from a higher dimension. He knows what is happening to me. He knows that I'm having a Kundalini awakening, but he goes with the system because he has no choice, because he then hands me his mobile phone number And he says, ring me anytime. And I say to him, they want to assess me. They want me to go to a mental health unit to be assessed. I said to him, what do I do? And he says, you speak your truth, Nicki. That's what you do. And if you need me, you ring me anytime. So I did ring him. But I go back into the hospital. I go to talk to him in the same level of consciousness. And he goes, shh, shh, not in here. We go back in the room. We're back in the script. My children have been put into foster care at this point, but I don't know that because nobody tells me. And then I'm back in the room and they go through the motions and they send me a few days. I get sent home in a police car without my children. That's it. That's that done. And then they want me to be assessed. A few days later I go and I have blood tests, but I'm in a higher dimension now, so I can see it all. So I'm all I keep saying is, I've had a Kundalini awakening. I've had a Kundalini awakening. You will not find anything in the blood test. They don't find anything. I then go to see another psychiatrist, and he says, because of the domestic abuse that I went through and CPTSD and things, in that marriage, I'm put on a very high dose of antidepressants. This psychiatrist says, you are having a psychotic break caused by your antidepressants, which he has prescribed to me. So he takes my antidepressants away. I'm on a high dose. He takes them away, hands me Valium and antipsychotics and another drug which is like Valium, but a higher dose. So I'm given those. Off I go. I refuse to take the antipsychotics. I don't take the Valium, but I'm now experiencing anxiety coming off the antidepressants, and so I take the other drug similar to Valium, but I'm so sensitive. I put it on my tongue and I've passed out on my sofa at home. I don't take it again. I put all that medication under the sink in the kitchen. I tell them what I'm doing. I say, I'm not taking it. It's not right. I'm not taking it. I then have the mental health team coming over for a few weeks, coming to visit me. But again, I have this weird thing going on where social services are still there, obviously, because they've now my children are in foster care. And with social services, I'm pretending to be something I'm not, like sitting on my hands, pretending to be something I'm not. Then the mental health team are coming over and they want me to speak light language, predict their future. And I've got these weird 2 script things going on. And then I'm let go by the mental health team. And then they say, social services say, right, after 2 weeks of having the Kundalini awakening, are you ready to have your children back? And I say, no, I'm not, because I wasn't ready. I wasn't fully integrated. And I was putting my children first by saying, I'm not ready. But that created some sort of script where my daughter, I only learned this a couple of months ago, my daughter somehow took that to mean that her mummy didn't want her. Yeah, I don't know where to go from here, because now because I've had this Kundalini awakening, which they class as psychosis, the ex-husband uses that now as a linchpin, and the whole entire, so I've gone from getting custody of the children, the whole entire script now flips, and I am now the perpetrator and he is the innocent victim. And the children, I'm basically now classed as an unfit mother. That's how it's made to come across. And what happens next is I move away, because I move away from where I'm living, because I'm at this point, I'm in so much fear, shame, and guilt that I move away. So I moved 2 hours away to another place, and I have got social. I can't remember all the ins and outs at this point because it becomes so stressful. Social services are on my case non-stop. My children get put under child protection. Um, a, a lot of these things happen without my knowledge. I'm not. I don't. From that day forward, I don't go into a courtroom ever again. But court proceedings are happening without me there because they go into child protection. All my rights as a parent have gone. I end up with people who I now know are like draconian, stepping forward, like people like the headmistress of my children's school, stepping forward and saying things like, yes, she was a bad mother. He was an amazing father. All this weird evidence, which isn't true, suddenly starts cycling in with it. I hope this is making sense.
It's making sense. If I may, again, Nikki, it's making absolute sense to us that have gone through the Kundalini awakening and the raising of the consciousness. And yes, at those times, sometimes things can be a blur and confusion. And, one thing that you honestly said that when the child services asked you 2 weeks after they took if you were ready, you truthfully, at that time said no, you were not ready. But it was their perception and perspective of it that they negated what you said, did not give you the space, and they did not understand again what was going on. So then what happened is they turned everything negative. But in your case, Nikki, this is very important on a higher level for the simple reason that your co-creator abilities are very high and increasing. So when you say something like you're not ready, you could also create an adverse situation. And this is with the higher teachings that ones need to be very meticulous in what you are saying and what you're thinking. But this is part of, let's say, the higher teachings and guidance with your spiritual powers and your gifts. But just to marginally introduce this here, that Nikki is perfectly fine with this, and we know it. Yeah, did you want to say something, Sister Nya? Or so at this time, with the past, also what I need to say, and thank you so much, Nikki. This interview is taking on something like a different proportion, but divinely it needs to because of your unique experience as well.
Yeah,
Um,
there's other things that happen. There's things that do
oh,
correlate with other um other people's stories. Um, there's things like there's a court hearing going ahead, and I don't feel in a fit space to do it because by now at this point I've gone into complete and utter fear because of everything that's happened, because I've taken on their script and believed it. I didn't have any support, as in physical support or anyone to turn to, and because of the fear and shame I didn't actually turn to anyone, so I've taken on their script. So there was a point where a court proceeding was going ahead, and on Zoom, and my solicitor lawyer contacted the court twice and told them to reissue the court, and it was ignored. And I got a phone call, and I answered the phone, and the next minute I'm on a live court hearing. The ex-husband's there in a suit, and there's two men and a woman that the judge is, and I'm just sat on the stairs in my cottage, and I'm not prepared. So I'm literally like this, like and I have no clue what's going on, because it's just thrown at me. These are the sort of things that started happening. Court things going on without my knowledge, and then I had things like and also by this point the social worker is changing over and over and over. But I'm not informed, because it's like they deem me as this unfit mother. So it's like I'm pushed to one side. She doesn't need to know that she's not fit. So the social worker is changing over and over and over. And there's points where I don't know who the social worker is. There's other points where I ring up and they can't find which team my daughter's in. I put in 2 complaints to Pembrokeshire County Council. They can't find which social team my daughter's under. They have no clue. They don't go and visit her very often because she's doing so well. I'm trying to think of other things that happened. I get sent on a parenting course which is so outdated. It's like something from the Victorian era, which I have to attend every week. I present to them a conscious parenting course. They don't even know what the word conscious means. That's pushed to one side. I'm still doing this parenting course, which doesn't resonate, doesn't make sense to me in that higher dimension. It's not even in my remit. I fail the parenting course, and the ex-husband passes with a gold star. The next thing that happens is, if I want to see my son again, because by now the other thing they've done is they've sent my son back to his dad, and my daughter has chosen now at this point to stay in foster care. Even though I tell them, I asked why he's been sent back to his dad, but he's asked to go back to his dad, so he's gone back to his dad. I'm trying to there's other things that happened that I then this is all moving on quite quickly. I then want to make contact with my son. The husband pushes for a psychological report to be done with a psychologist. Again, it's after some sort of lockdown, because I have to go to another solicitor's in the new town that I'm in, and I'm on a Zoom meeting, and I am doing an exam which is like the 11 plus that you do when you're at school in the UK. It's not even, they don't even do it anymore. And it goes on for 5 hours on Zoom. I'm doing is spot the difference. So I'm being shown things like I'm being shown like a scene with a family sat at the table, right, with all the things. I'm shown that, and then they show me the next picture, and I have to say what's not there. That's the psychological report, right? So I passed the psychological report, but even though I passed the psychological report, they say, but she could get unwell at any point. And it goes on that the husband then stops me from seeing my son until 2023. I have been seeing my daughter once a week under supervision for 1 hour in an open space. It was in a car park for 1 hour once a week. That then went down to every 2 weeks. Then the different COVID restrictions were coming in, and the foster mum had cancer treatment, and so she went into isolation. So my daughter went into isolation, and now I haven't seen my daughter or spoken to her since December 2020. She's now 16. I was told to I was told to at one point I was told to not write to her, not send her anything, because it all has to go through social services. I can't send it to her address or anything. Another time, I because the social workers are changing over and over, they haven't at this point, they haven't, these social workers, these new ones that are coming in, haven't met me. So I phone them up and I say, I think it might be a good idea if you actually meet me physically now to see who I am. And I go back to Pembrokeshire in Wales to see the then social worker. I am given 5 minutes of her time. She then says to me, I tell you what, why don't you go off and have a hot chocolate? And she sends me on my way. And and that is where we are at now, where my son is with his father. My son is very much under his control. There's various things going on there. And I have no contact with my daughter. And that's it at the moment.
So at this point, Nicki, you had mentioned you didn't speak with your daughter for about 4 years in 2020 up until now,
Yeah.
and now she's 16, I believe. What the last time that you spoke with her 4 or 5 years ago, what was her demeanor then? What
Um,
was
she,
she with
she,
you? Did she want to come home, or what was her?
no, 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 because that's the other thing that I did get one message from her, and she was angry that I didn't take the medication that the doctors were prescribing me. That's the other thing. The psychiatrist team at one point said to me, if you don't take this medication, you will never see your children again. That was told to me. I was also pulled up as a bad mom because they hadn't had their vaccinations. That was pulled against me. I was also pulled up because they weren't registered with the dentist. Um, there were various. I was also pulled up because my daughter was a vegetarian. Um, it, uh, it, I was also pulled up that the police, when they went to my other cottage, basically said that it was an unfit place to live, and when it was absolutely beautiful. Um,
Why was it unfit? Why? What did they
because
say?
uh, it was very rustic. It was a very old cottage. It was full of antiques. It was beautiful. That's the thing. The mental health team went in and said, "Wow, what a stunning, beautiful house." The police went in and said, "Wow, what a shithole." But all this stuff was used against me. Um, it The other thing was, whilst when I had that Kundalini awakening, one of the police officers got freaked out because I kept closing my eyes. It, they were terrified of me. Um,
All right, if I so is it correct then, because you're a vegetarian, that they began to discriminate against you and what you were doing with the children? So they said more or less that being a vegetarian was not a good influence on the children, so they twisted it to use it like
I,
that.
I, in
Um,
their eyes, I was a bad mother because I wasn't following the script. I was a bad mother. So what? Eventually, everything got turned the other way. So I go from getting custody, and then everything's turned the other way. And some of the things written about me, I was called a predator. I was told, well, not told, I was, what was scripted was they used the name, and they said that I was a woman who went out of her way to turn the children against their father, but it was the other way round. I didn't do that. That's what he did to them towards me. So it's like the whole thing inverted on itself.
Mhm.
Um,
Where's your son? So your son
my
decided.
son
How
is
old
with
is
his
your
now.
son?
He's now 19, but there's things there, you see, where there were things that I brought up with social services. So when he was 14, he went to his father's, and when he came back from his father's, he said to me, I've just been watching a series on serial killers. And I was like, what? You're 14. And I brought that up with social services, and they thought that was normal. That is perfectly normal, Nicki.
So if I can say something, the thing is, I'm observing a lot of cases. So what I can say, that's their pattern, meaning like, to try to put you back into the system the moment you start
Yeah,
to awake and go more into
yeah,
your power.
yes,
Everything that you're doing, you are a great mother, right? So, a mother just take care of the children, especially you with your empathic and telepathic abilities. So through your divine guidance, you perfectly know, or sometimes also we are talking with the higher selves, we know what they need. So, as you having those abilities, it's very clear that your children will also have the abilities, But also, what I can see here is especially with the tests, they always try to give you tests, but the thing is, someone who is awakened and in a higher consciousness couldn't pass that test because that's some kind of lower consciousness, right?
no, because my brain couldn't. My, I passed it, but to see what's missing. But I've already moved on. I'm in
Oh,
the now.
oh,
To look
oh, I
back,
got you.
I'm in the
Yes.
now.
Oh, I was just, in my story where I saw, some specific kind of questionnaire which wouldn't apply, when you look at it from a higher perspective. For example, they ask you something like, do the child has fear about darkness or night? And I was like, everyone has fear, it's normal for a child to have, it's
Yes,
fear, but they want an answer of it,
yes,
So I was just seeing that, but also, there was something else which came up. The thing is, there's also a specific pattern to it. So what they often do is, I have to use the word victim, so they turn the thing around. So you
yes,
are then the perpetrator and he's then the
yes,
victim. But also,
yes,
with your constellation, because I also came out of a very abusive relationship where I felt shame and guilt because I
yes,
thought I was the one who did
yes,
many things. But the thing is,
yes,
it's the same thing like with the system. They
yes.
try to blame you for
It's
their.
gaslighting.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
control, coercion, and it's gaslighting.
Yes, 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 exactly. And it looks, and so what I also see often, they exactly know which button to push because they
Yes,
know you're a good mother. They
yes,
know you start to reflect. And in that
yes,
point, you start to go into, okay, and to think about it, but you are a good mother. So they always do it. I see a lot of other mothers who just take care of the child, clean food, or, take care that the child, if something is very emotional, or they do have a trauma or something, to give the child space, to work through it, just to sit with it, right? So that would a normal mother would do that, but it's not in alignment with the system, because the system tends to distract you so you don't work on it, and try to keep you busy. So if you as a good mother would put that in, they would say, oh, you're a bad mother, or you're
yes,
annoying them, and everything.
yes,
Every time you turn everything around. But also,
yes,
what I observe, with your son, They also use often, in all the court system, they name it the parent alienation syndrome, meaning like
Oh yeah.
that someone is manipulating and
Yeah.
child and everything, but it's mostly the the opposite thing here.
Yes.
What I'm seeing, and what I also see, with ones who are really care and love their children, they start, for some reason, they know it, and they start to separate you, to break that bond.
Yes.
I also
Yes.
I talked with a woman, and she's also very powerful and very caring and has a big heart, and her son has those gifts and started to see visions, so that child was taken away. Or also, what I have
Yes.
to say is, I'm talking with a lot, and every one of them hides their ability. So I'm very, very grateful for your bravery, and that you are stepping up and openly share about your gifts.
Well, I've lost everything now, so I've got nothing to lose, have I?
Yeah.
My daughter was awakening with me at the same time. And they I can't think of the words, but they said that it was me making her be like that. But that is on a higher level who she is, although she's shut down now. On a higher level, that's who she is. So I once I moved to the new place, moved away from where the Kundalini awakening had happened and things, I shut myself down completely. I stopped speaking light language. I didn't speak about my gifts. I literally went whoop and just like a robot, trying to function, because I felt such, I feel like I'm gonna cry now, but such shame, fear, and guilt.
Yes, I totally got you. The thing is, the same is with my children. They're very awakened, very powerful. They have abilities. They are, able to see multidimensional, right? So they also said, yeah, it's my distorted reality that I indoctrinate them, but it's the reverse thing. They try to indoctrinate you back into the system because they know how powerful you are, right?
Yeah, so the ex-husband would manipulate them by saying, this is when we were married, by saying, mummy's mad, mummy's insane, mummy's ill, mummy's this, mummy's woo-woo, mummy. That was already going on within the marriage. Yeah.
Yes, but you are not. You're very powerful.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And now, the reason I'm speaking up now is, well, because my guides have told me to. I'm very strictly told me to. Like the time is now. And I have lost everything. So there isn't anything else that can happen. Um, and also, I was told before I came on today that this is the reason I'm here. This conversation that we're having now is the pivotal point in my ascension, and the ascension, or one of the pivotal points. But it was always going to happen. This is what I came for. I knew that as I was going through the system. It's like you. It's like I went through the mental health system. I saw men doing light language in the waiting room while I was waiting to go and see the psychiatrist. But it wasn't. But they were there for their depot injection for bipolar or whatever. But that wasn't what they were presenting with. They were speaking light language. I had to go. I had to go through those systems to break the codes as I went, because that is that's my role, that's my job. I'm a light worker. That is what I'm doing. So I knew, I knew, I could see it. I could see that's why I was there. That's why I was sent in. Um, and I've come out the other side. But
Very powerful. I
but
love your story. And I'm really very, very grateful for everything you shared so authentically and, so openly, because you will also empower others, to step up, and also, to accept the gifts, instead of hiding it, because
yeah,
everyone
because it's
is
nothing to be
afraid.
ashamed of. Because
Yes, but, the thing is, because of you know, what they have used in the past with the labeling thing, you know, like conspiracy, paranoid or something, which is all created, right? But, you know, some of them still are, like you said, if someone would say you are crazy or something, you go into that thought system, right? But you are not. What I learned with Rick is mostly also very important for to step above it, to look at it, from a higher consciousness, to understand that they just don't understand that they are in a different consciousness, but also, for others, because to accept it, because every time when I'm talking with some, I'm just figuring out, they have very powerful starseed children. Some of them are gifted. Everyone is empathic. Some of them had very miraculous situation where they were just saved by God, or by their own abilities, And I just want to bring it up, because the numbers of children being abducted is increasing, but also lots of fathers and mothers who are raising their children, in alignment with New Earth, meaning like by holding space, empowering them, not limiting them or indoctrinating them. They were, they target them to take them away, the most powerful who will change and break the system or create New Earth,
Exactly. There was something else I was going to say there, because although the stories are often different, it's not the story, it's the pattern of the behavior of the the old Earth, or that system. That is the same. It's like this stamping system, and it's the same pattern match, because they're following the same script. So like I'm seeing like tripwires. They do. It's nefarious energy. The whole thing's just set up to trip you up, so that you do go down into that lower consciousness again, and then you become the victim. You're on that lower level, and unless you're aware. But I had, at that point, I'd gone into so much fear, that I was too scared to speak.
But you did your best at the time. It's very intense. It's also for I. It took me very much. It's always hitting me. And it takes time to transmute it. But also, just as you said, there are also some kind of scripts as well. Connected with it.
But even that's a plan. That constant hitting. There was a period where I was all I did was I was in court. That's all part of the plan. It's like a chipping away. Because I met women. I met I met women on the way who it was mainly women that this had happened to. Their children had been taken away, and it was all the same script. And many of them aren't here now. They committed suicide. They're not here.
It's very painful. It's just like, it's almost that, your child has died. It feels like that.
Yeah.
And to hold on to it is the most, it's very, very painful. But also, at the same time, because you are so empathic and telepathic, you can feel your child, so
the other thing I feel to mention is, when you're going through this system, and you are not, you as the mother, I can only speak as the mother because it was always mothers that I would meet. You as the mother are given zero support. It's you against them. I know that you the higher consciousness now, but I wasn't at that time. So it was literally me and them, with zero help. I had to search out different things to try and get help. Like to find myself a lawyer, to go through trying to get legal aid, because yeah.
Yes, it's also, what I experienced is, because I had to went through a lot of those things, and I just realized how uneducated I was, because it's how the system works, to don't let you know how it works or what you can do, but also in the same time not assisting you. But when they take away your children, they got a lot of money for it. So why not giving it to ones who need it, or to improve the court system or what have you? But what I was also seeing is that some of the mothers, just shared with me some, you would say a crazy story, something very weird happened, and then the police came and take her away, and I was like, oh, because I'm watching that a long while, and I also watch my story, how they create things, just to take away your children. So it's quite interesting, to see all the patterns, connected with it, or the cycle. Rick also said it very perfectly. It's kind of torturing, but also,
Yeah.
every time when you're going to the court, you can feel the intense energy and imprint of fear, authority, control. Every time, at the beginning, every time when I went in, it just hit you, until you made it through, right? So as an empath, it's quite intense at the beginning.
Yes. Yeah. 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 I mean, for the social, I will bring it up again. For the social worker to say to me, just go off and have a hot chocolate, Nicki. And I'm sat there saying that it's my children, it's my daughter. I can't just. Well, I'm hearing again nefarious energy. A system can't take your children and just expect you to
But this is
it to
the
not affect
lack.
you.
Yeah, it's the lack of compassion and empathy that they do not have, and they are not what you would call empathic, compassionate parents themselves. If they are even parents, they do not understand the bond between a mother and a child, the authentic
No,
bond. And
and
it's because,
yeah,
and it's very contradictory that they call these places child care centers, because it's actually, the opposite. But Nicki, so what I wish to say here, with your son now, he is 19, so
mhm.
he is a soul of his own choice, if you will. But with your daughter, she is now 16, a young adult, perhaps you can say as well with that. So my question is, are you actually still in any battle, or where is your daughter
I'm not in any
currently?
battle. My daughter has basically decided to stay with her foster mum. She doesn't want to see me. She doesn't want to speak to me. She thinks that I'm insane. Um, she thinks that I have mental health problems. She thinks that I need medication. Um, she, it's like she's forgotten who I am. Um, Again, I'm hearing the word nefarious energy. Um, she is very much not monitored because she's with her foster family, her foster mum, and because they say she's doing so well, which she will do because she's that gracious, caring, loving, beautiful young lady, and she will, because she's not meant to be in the system. So she will be. She'll be just beautiful like she is. So that I think they only go and see her every 3 months. So um, I don't know a great deal of what's going on. As in what she's doing. Um, yeah, I have no contact. Don't speak to her. I have asked to start building up contact, because that's the other thing. She doesn't want to see her brother either, or her dad. I've asked to start building up contact, but she doesn't want to. But I keep saying to social services, it's you that broke the bond. You, like, they went out of their way to make it so complicated and so difficult that um, they didn't want to unite us. They wanted to take us apart. Um, so that is where it's at now, and I I don't know how to go forward from that because my daughter's adamant she doesn't want to see me. I somehow need to clear my name, or maybe I don't.
I mean,
Yeah.
what I want to add is, from my observation and with the chats with other moms, that it often happens that they choose specific foster care families, and that they are also somehow indoctrinate and manipulate the child to a specific extent, because every time when they does, it also creates a pain inside you as well, and also, some of the parents just then at a specific point, they just let go because it's so painful, or, they separate the child so far away
Yes.
that you cannot, some of, when you're working, and then you cannot drive 13 hours or 15 hours, to see your child for 1 hour, and
Yeah,
some
and also,
stuff
but I
like
did
that.
do that. I did do that. But
Yeah.
I did go, I used to go and see her. But oh, what was I going to say? The first Christmas, so it would be December 2020, the first Christmas of her being in foster care, I was speaking to her at that point, and we were going to have a phone call on Christmas Day, and it never happened and Jasmine said she couldn't speak to me because she was playing games with her foster family. And I feel that as her mother, that I don't mean this in an egoic way at all. I feel that this is where social services should step in. They should be encouraging the child to see, not stopping it. It just, everything kind of went under the radar. Like I do know that Jasmine had her phone taken away, so she couldn't message me by the foster mum. Um, but it's all fear based. It. I want to say it's innocent, but it's all fear based. Well, I'm hearing nefarious energy, but it's all fear based because they're on a lower timeline and they don't understand um somebody who's multidimensional, somebody who's awakened. They don't understand it, so to them um it's a scary thing. It's um it's not acceptable. It's not the normal for them. um so they may see it as them protecting her, but there's nothing to protect her from.
Yeah, the only thing, because I don't have experience with that, but my researches and chats, with other parents where I had similar situation as you, that but also, a foster family, would never have that bond, with that child as you do, as the mother, that unconditional love, right? But I also often hear, that how to say, they would rather choose, someone who is perfectly matching into the system, because I feel like, they do know that your child is also awakened, so by her, because I'm observing this since years, and I see a lot of children are taken away from their divine mothers, right? The best environment for a awakened child, to grow up, in unconditional love. So that's what I also observing, because they fear you, they fear the bond and the love between you and your child, I would say. It's the
Yeah,
same.
yeah, sorry.
No, I'm just saying it because I'm just observing it, with me and my children, because they do know how strong our bond is, and how much we love each other. So they do everything, just to separate us, or to put in things, to make me look bad or something like that. So because they know, it's the best, for them to stay, with me. It's the same, you feel for your daughter as well.
Yeah, see, I also had I feel that I had the COVID thing that was used as a manipulation tool as well. Like not being able to see her. And there was one time when a lady turned, because Jasmine would come with a chaperone, and this lady came and she was all in a plastic visor thing. Jasmine was wearing a plastic visor, and I was instructed to wear a plastic visor, and I refused to wear it. And she said, well, we're not seeing you then, we're taking your daughter back. So I ended up putting on the plastic visor, and I saw her for, that was an hour, walking around with the plastic visor on. It was it just just the whole event was just manipulation after manipulation. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I have anything more to say. It is of the it is the template used is the same over and over. The scare tactics, the manipulation, the gaslighting within the system.
Yes, what I also see is, they try to suppress you and blackmail you with your child, so that you obey or do whatever they want you to do. But you end up, but most of the parents, just end up being very, I don't know the English word, but exhausted and depressed, and no, don't have any energy more to fight or motivated, because whatever they are doing, it would be never be okay, right? And I mean, at the beginning, my process, I also have sometimes, the thought, oh, I should obey or something, with the children, but what have you. But the truth is, they always was focusing on the children, and I didn't know that they don't give it back. And I know how, the tactics are, and what they are trying to do. So I was very grateful, to have my soul trap around, and also Rick, to empower to stay in my
Yeah.
power.
See,
Because
I didn't have that, and I didn't have the confidence. I like I said, I just shut myself down, and also going from that higher dimension and then shutting myself down, I did end up becoming very unwell, as in depression and anxiety, and I did try to commit suicide a few times, just because of everything that went on. And that's where I started to meet people, or hear of people, mainly women again, who had committed suicide.
So, if I may, Nikki, uh, so at this time, your son, 19, he is his own soul now and has begun, if you will, his own life. And again, your child or your daughter is 16. But again, my question is, um, at this time, is there any ongoing um, battle or anything between you and child services? Is there anything ongoing
Only
with
the
any legal proceedings
No,
or
there no
all
legal
right?
proceedings. Only well, when I said there are no legal proceedings, because my parental rights were taken away, so I'm not classed as her mother. Um, so no
What is
legal
the
proceedings.
mhm. What is the age that a child's consent is that they have their own consent? For example, in Austria, it's 14. So you're in the UK. At what age does
I don't know the age. I know that 18 she can leave the foster family, but I do know that they say, well, all the way through actually, they've said that Jasmine is if what Jasmine says goes, whatever.
what
If
she
Jasmine says she does,
decides?
if Jasmine doesn't want to see me, it, that's what all the way through they put the child first. So if Jasmine says at age 10 she doesn't want to see me, Jasmine doesn't see me. If Jasmine won't speak, Jasmine won't speak. But I feel, not that I want them to control it at all, but I feel that early on that something should have been put in place to bring the family unit back together. I feel the whole thing was just a shattering process. And I brought this up over and over and over. I kept saying over and over and over, social services, you are pushing us apart, not bringing us together. You have done this. You have broken the family unit. It was like that was their role. It was like that, I can't think of the
There
word.
is
It's
the
like,
underlying agenda. Yes, that was prevalent with us as well, and very notorious in the past. And I'm saying in the past because we are now at a breakthrough point that no longer will these things occur. So most of it has already elapsed and occurred with you. You have gone through the whole experience, and your son now is his um, own adult, his own consent, but also your daughter with what she chooses now. Uh, so you went all through that, but you are uh, not the end effects, but what we're seeing with you is how it completely separated the entire family. How your son went with your dad, your daughter with a foster family, you alone. And
yeah,
so
and
this is the underlying agenda that was prevalent in the past, separation. It's what darkness does when they manipulate things and distort things. And again, importantly, it's to separate. It's mostly always the mom because the mom has that strongest bond with the child, and that's what the underlying agenda is to break. They want to break that important love bond. It is the reality in the past. But I need to say this in the past because we're breaking now, breaking through that, giving the truth, and also, they have become so desperate at attempting to break this love bond that it becomes so obvious now to so many, meaning you don't even need to be awake. You don't need to be higher consciousness to see how obvious it is. The psychological torture involved on the parents, the conformity, the attempted conformity and psychological conditioning of the children, which is violating not only the children's rights, the parents' rights. Uh, so without, reiterating and going over all of that, um, and again, another thing I just wrote down that popped out is they discriminate and they use such things as accusing you of being a vegetarian, accusing you of not vaccinating the children. However, in 1895, I believe, or 96, in the UK, with the first vaccines, there was the vegetarians back then that opposed it and did not want it. And, that has been a history that has gone through. But what it is, it takes away the rights of what ones had wanted in their bodies and what they allow in there and what they don't. And so
it,
in the
it's very
past,
much like, I want to say it's very much like Hitler's elite race is, it's like they have this pattern of, this is how people should be, children, adults, mother, this is how they should be. And if
that's the
they,
conformity, what we speak of. That is conformity to their beast society at accepting and allowing everything that it does. It creates poverty. The system itself, this beast system, is the root cause of all problems. It causes poverty because of its capitalistic structure and different classes. Then it'll use that against a mom or parents saying they have no money. But it's
Yes.
not the
Yes.
moms, it's not the parents' fault. It is the actual system itself that does this. So, what I say, don't anyone allow any care work children care workers saying that you are in poverty, because it's not your fault. It is actually the system's fault, and it's actually the child care services fault for even trying to use that. So the child care services is actually acting unlawfully, and they are an accomplice of the huge crime by trying to use a mom being unfit because she doesn't have any money. It's absolutely absurd. It's incompetent. It's preposterous. And with what we were just speaking about a bit earlier today, it's that ridiculous in Austria. And I'd love Sister Nya to come in here in a moment, that for her young son, Akua, she gets 267 euro, a month, which is probably about whatever the conversion is, close in pounds, but pounds is a little bit more. But 267 euros she gets a month. But when the government that has taken her child, they give per month to the institution $6,000. The point of this is being why they cannot substantiate in Austria if they take a child because of poverty reasons. For the simple reason, if they're only giving the mom 267, why can they give an institution 6,000 for that same child? It's nonsensical. There is no justification of that. However, what I also need to say, and this is where I want Sister Nya to come in, what I need to say is that I think, because some of the statistics we were looking at, that some children, when they're taken, that the child services gets perhaps up to 600 a day for them. And if that is the case, then that would mean that the government is paying someone 18 or 19,000 euros a month for this one child. So what would you have to add onto that, Sister Nya? Do we go with 6,000, or do we go with it's as high as 18,000 or 19,000 a month?
The thing is, the only amount what I can confirm right now, because they are hiding, the facts and the datas, is because back then, years ago, a lawyer brought it up and he helped a lot of people back then. So he sourced the number and he could say it's around 6,000 or 7,000 euro a month, which means like it is paid by the government to the child welfare. So the child welfare has the whole money, and then the child welfare is deploying it to different kind of foster family. Also foster families get specific kind of money. That's the reason why they do it. And if the child is has special needs, there's more money to it. If they would put the child into a different state, there's more money to it as well. But what I want to bring up, as an example, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, because of the ex not respecting, the diet of the children, and the children were all time sick when they came back, and we didn't know what happened. I was completely exhausted also, all the time. And then we said, he needs someone to supervise him by visiting them. But no, while giving him to the father. But the thing is, it cost around 60 or 80 euros, and I didn't have money, and I didn't also wanted to pay it because it was not my fault, right? So I asked him to pay it, but he didn't pay it. So I went to the child welfare to ask for the money, and she said, no, she's not paying it. My lawyer told me to go there, and she said, no, she's not paying this. And then, right now, I'm seeing the children all 2 weeks, but I only have seen them one time for 1 hour, supervised. And I was first, I said like, oh, right, and who is paying this? And they were like, yeah, well, the child welfare is paying this, right? So the thing is, my case also went to the revisor to Klagenfurt. So during that thing, I cannot find anything in the case, sadly, because I was looking for it. So meaning like, since it was at the revisor, he was confirming money to be flown, to specific departments. So, but also what I want to highlight here is, since that's the reason why the child welfare has such a power, because it's controlling the money and also the child itself. But also, when you look at children's center, or places where children are staying, they get the money from the child welfare. So meaning like whatever the child welfare is saying, they will obey, because otherwise they would not get any money. So what I also figured out was Rick brought me to this because most of the places do have a company, right? So every company has to create a business plan and do calculation to show how profitable it is. Meaning like they do have to work with the child welfare to get the numbers, or how many children are taken, and to put into that center or something, maybe, just, I'm just thinking, do they have some specific kind of numbers to reach at a specific month, to have that amount of money that is still profitable, that they can keep on running their business with a child crisis intervention center, which is some kind of also sick. But when you look at it, and when you look at how the child welfare, gets, steps forward, like just use any excuse, to take the child away. I'm just putting it in. I don't have any evidence, but I'm just trying to get things together because it starts to, get more clear.
I'll say yes, it's very apparent that this is what's occurring, with the simple logic. A child care business cannot operate if it doesn't have any children. But again, where the government reward the concession, the monetary concession, the reward is so high for that, as we're seeing as an example, $6,000 of a children per child per month. So the government is actually facilitating the business for it. And what this is doing, again, what Sister Nya is saying, without any children, there is no business. So to keep the business going, using the children as a fraudulent means to get money and to capitalize and to profit off of it, they are using the children. And it's become that desperate now that the child agencies are using anything they can find, and they're so desperate to supply the children to the institutions. Now, to back up a bit, because of the past with child care services, many parents have become more afraid, meaning that many parents are taking more precautions, that they do not want to do anything to attract the attention from child care services. So by doing that, the parents were actually doing a better job. And because of that, it was making it harder for child care services to find any actual abuse. So then what occurred, child care services, in collusion with the governments, began to manipulate and fabricate stories so that they could in some way justify them taking the children, because there was no truthful and honest way of taking the children. So they fabricate and they conspire to manipulate and make stories so they can get the children, because it's about the children, but it's about the lucrative business that they have created and all of the people that they employ, which are actually all accomplices of a very sick fraud and a huge crime. So it is done to this extent. So this is why it's become more blatant now with the child care services, because of the desperation to keep the money business going. They are so desperate that they got to create manipulations, they got to lie, they got to fabricate stories so that they get this supply of children for their business, because if there is no children, there is no business as well. But there's also the spin-offs that comes with this, because child trafficking, organ harvesting, many of these other things occurred, and governments herself has been incriminated at different levels of their involvement in this. So what occurs is you have many spin-off businesses as well, which becomes lucrative and very profitable, to the degree that also it creates a trafficking to bring children in as well. So you have a huge exploitation ring that is created, but every time, if you look at the cause of it, it is the beast system. It is the capitalistic system of monetary policy that they have, and it's the artificial laws that denies the human rights. And when it denies the human rights, it denies the principles of the rule of law, and it actually makes all of their legal system unlawful. Then it becomes null and void. It's already at that state right now. It's null and void, and what we are doing is educating the people and the moms to take their power back and to use the tools to prove to the rest of the people that it is. And this is what we're doing, and it's sick. They have created a huge business, monetary business, in that one respect that I just explained, at the expense of the children and mostly the moms. So then they create the psychological stress as well to pressure the moms, and also to make spin off businesses, if you will, psychiatric help and all of this. But actually, it's a system that creates it itself. The system, this beast system worldwide, is designed to do this, to create criminals, to create sicknesses that are not there. But the system is an evil system that is designed to create all of these distortions. And again, this is why GPMS, divine GPMS, is the replacement system where there is no distortion, there is no disharmony. It's all harmony. Everyone is equal. All of their intrinsic human rights are respected. It doesn't need to really be written in law, because good souls already have it in their heart. You know how to treat each other. It's this beast system that morally corrupts everyone, separates, causes confusion, separation, distortion. So I'll stop there.
Oh, can I add something? I just remembered that there are also some cases when they take away your child, they then take away, the money that you get from the government, meaning like, for example, the 500, 250 or 70 euros. And then they request you to pay for the child as well, So that is also sometimes happening. I don't have cases, but I do know it, when you when you, but also, when you then go to court, or you have to do psychological tests to prove yourself, or to do anything, some kind of therapy they tell you to do, which generates more money, which kept you again, in that low frequency and suffering and everything, so you can never come out to be, to get your child back. But also, because of this, you're going more into poverty. You cannot prepare your house, or you cannot prepare any room for your child, and then they say, oh, you are too poor, you don't have any great place, you have this and this and this, not, so you don't get your child back. So it's just an endless thing,
Yeah.
keep you there.
That happened to me. That I had just left the family home with nothing, and then we were setting up the home, so they come and inspect. So for me, they did it on a video call, and I had to take the phone around to show them the different rooms. Yeah, they did that, and there was something else you said there that reminded me, just the poverty trap. Because at that point for me, then I was unable to work. And it's that you're just going lower and lower. For me anyway, I was just going lower and lower and lower. And they use that against you.
But in this
Yeah,
great time, if I may, Nicki, see, this is where accountability comes in. For any system to be lawful and to be in justice, it has to have accountability. So, what I am looking at, what we are doing now, is that there is such thing as liability, which means that if the system continues to financially burden with all of these things and put you in more of an impoverished state, actually the liability and the accountability is with the system, that it has to remedy that. It has to compensate for what it has done to the individual. So with this is where liability comes in, and also the insurances, because a child care services or a government cannot act without an insurance. So when this is very important, and we're not going to go right deep into it, but someone has to be responsible for what they did. So their actions caused these poverty, impoverished, hello, little one, these impoverished situations. So then they must pay for it, they must compensate for it. But within their legal system, if they do not have a route of compensation and provisioning set up, then it also means their system is not capable, it's not accountable, it's not lawful, then it becomes liable for paying for everything, if you will. Now, I know what I said may not register fully yet, but as we go forward, all of you involved in this will see that this is another level of your empowerment at looking at the indemnity. And this is so important with insurance because the insurance insures them. So if they cause harm to you, it's their insurance responsibility to make redemption for that and to reimburse and to compensate. And really, the insurance has to restore the financial status of the individual to where it was at before the child care centers and the government began to take all of this money and put this financial burden on them. So they have to give and provide 100% remedy plus damages as well, because not only do they need to restore your full financial stability, they need to pay you for all of your time that they had put you in distress and kept you preoccupied because it altered your life from doing and having a joyous life. So for your time is valuable. Everyone's time is valuable. And I'm in the process of writing this up to share with everyone as well how you claim for your time. There are some insurance agencies worldwide, it depends on what type of insurance that you have, but they recognize your time, meaning that, let's say, if the shingles blew off of your roof and you have to spend a day just making sure that you get a construction worker in, you get a to get it repaired, your time is worth money. And insurance companies, once you check your insurance details, some of them will pay you for your time. So not only do you put in for the full cost of getting your roof repaired, you also put in your time that you needed to spend to arrange things, make phone calls, or what have you, because your time has value. Now, this becomes very important because with all of you that have been denied due process as a result of the legal system, meaning you were denied due process because you could not afford lawyers. Lawyers were not provided for you, as an example, and where you had to defend yourself because of the injustices. Your time is worth a lot per hour. But not only that, when you constantly wake up each morning, on your mind is your children. They are not with you. So constantly your mind and your time is spent on looking how you're going to get them back. So if you're awake, as an example, for 16 hours a day, thinking, researching, trying to get your children back because they've been unlawfully taken, and you spend 16 hours a day, then what you look at, all right, what does the highest paid lawyer charge an hour, for example? So you might get, oh, he charges $600. But what you can say, because the system is illegal and the lawyer works in the system, so he is illegal or compromised to a degree. So your actual time is worth more than $600 an hour. Let's say it's worth $1,000 an hour. So then let's say each day you get up, you're up for 16 hours, which is an average because a human sleeps on an average 8 hours a day. So then 16 hours a day at $1,000 an hour is $16,000 for that one day that someone should owe you. But then it's not only your time. How do you measure the harm that psychological stress has caused on your future? And that is an immeasurable amount. So when you look at uh, the world already values people as high as $433 billion. We use Musk for an example. He is a human being. He's worth that. So, what is to say that any one of you that have been targeted might have come up if you were not occupied with looking and trying to get your children back? You might have come up with a great idea that you could be right today worth 500 billion. So you need to look at the extents of this. So when you look at an insurance company, what are the actual damages? What can they be? And this is why I said in our meeting, I think earlier today or last night, for any law firms working on a contingency basis, what I am saying here and what we are looking at is in the quadrillions of dollars. The more moms that join this, the bigger it gets as a multinational class action against internally the system, but also coming from outside of the system. So what this actually also means is that any law firm working on a contingency basis to take these incontestable facts, meaning they don't need to be in a trial, it is the sentencing, but in this case, the indemnification, the paying of the damages caused. This can result in a law firm with this one case, if you will, retiring forever. Because typically in a contingency, a law firm acting on a contingency basis, normally it's around 33% that they take of the overall award. And if you have the overall award from a multinational class action lawsuit being in the quadrillion of dollars, let's say $1 quadrillion, then what you are looking at, they get 33%, which is $330 trillion. So you can see how very quickly we could turn this into a very lucrative, quick business and movement for any law firm that's willing to take this incontestable evidence and just directly apply it to the insurance companies and the corporations worldwide.
Yeah, can I just say something? There's something else, and this isn't about the child system though, but it's all very much related. It's the same system. Alongside me going into court and things with the children, I was also in the court going through a 5-year divorce, which was manipulated as well, and that only finished. So I filed for divorce in November 2019. The divorce was finalized last June in 2024, but that was all done in a manipulative way again, and gaslighting way. And I seem to have no rights as a woman to it just the ex-husband just seemed to be allowed to do as he pleased, even to the point of when I went to court for the final hearing last June. The barrister, my barrister, stood up and said, hang on a minute, Nicola's been waiting 4 years for a settlement. And the barrister, the judge in charge, said she can wait a bit longer. And I went to stand up to say something against what he had just said to me. And my barrister told me to sit down. And what I was experiencing was a good outcome. I just wanted to bring forward that he said she can wait a bit longer. It's all part of the same system, that underhand operation.
Um, Let me say with that, yes, that's typical of the past, again, and in divorce battles as well. So that it comes from the old, I need to say, the old sickening past place, because with the new replacement system that we're ratifying in, there does not become any conflict between uh, 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 in a relationship. If any needs to leave the relationship in part for any reason, there is no obligation nor dependency on the other for money, because in this new reality, everyone has their money and no one is enslaved, feminine or masculine, in a court proceeding to pay the other. That is enslavement, and it's part of the enslavement system that they also use to create conflict and animosity between the sexes in the married couples. This doesn't exist in this new world, and it's not right in a court for to enslave another, to have them working for years for one while the other is free living off of their money. That is slavery, is what it is. And it's indicative. You see it when their courts try to do this with alimony and palimony, all of these things, both masculine and feminine. It is not right. It's part of the slavery. So in this new replacement system, no one is dependent upon another. Even a child is not dependent upon its parents for any sort of money, because money is given to all and their equal rights, which gives the full independence and sovereignty of every individual. And the real definition of sovereignty, of being God sovereign free, is what this gives. Um, so, many tactics, yes, in the old way to keep one's fighting, because the beast system is designed to create negative energy and to create animosity, because the evil in this beast system, they cannot exist without it, because it's what they are at the core. They are dark, they are fraudulent, they are evil. So to keep their world alive, they have devised all of these mechanisms within their artificial law and their draconian uh, capitalistic system to keep creating negative energy and fear as a control. Anyone knows that fear, if you come into great state of fear, it blinds you, it drops your consciousness. You don't know what to do, and it puts you in a stupor. So this is what the system does to keep everyone in a stupor so it can control them, have them as slaves, make money off their children, take their children, abuse their children in satanic rituals. And all of this is very real. And when I speak about satanic cults and satanic rituals, worldwide, anyone can go online and do the research, and you can see it validated with police as well. You can see it then put out on news. So this is not a conspiracy that I'm speaking about. It's very real. And we'll take Australia, for example, with what the church had did with all of the pedophilia, with the huge commission that was set up in Australia several years ago to show the actual evil perpetrators of molesting children and pedophilia, and to whatever other extents that it came to. It's very real. This is not a conspiracy theory that satanic, sadistic cults exist, but they manipulate ones like childcare workers to facilitate and keep their businesses running and all of these sort of things. And with this capitalistic system, it buys people, it buys them with monetary incentives. With the new replacement divine system, no one can be bought with it. So it eliminates all crime worldwide.
Oh, can I add something? Because Nicki brought it up. What is very interesting, or for other mothers and fathers to know, there's also actually a human right means like, they always try to put you into that place that you have to be cooperative, but you don't have to, meaning like you don't need to show them your house or space, especially, when you don't trust them. So there is, for example, an law for, you have to write that they respect your private and family life, meaning your whole privacy, meaning also your home and everything, right? And also your letters and everything. I'm just saying that also, because I'm observing, also a lot others, who are stepping up, like in America or in UK. They now know that they don't have to let them in or on their property. Also, when the police is coming or a child welfare, you can tell them, please leave my property, right? Because it's your property. So also, you don't have to give them their child, So what they always try to do is to come without a court order. So I'm just saying, to putting that in, for everyone to know, it would be good, I know where you're going. We don't need that, but it's good, for once to be educated, about the human rights, about the divine laws, if you have that, but they are very simple, the divine laws. But the human rights, especially, the best thing is always to be educated, you know, because they teach you in school a lot of kind of things, they indoctrinate you, but not the important things. And also, to ask question, what I also sometimes forgot is to ask about the name, so you can note everything down, document it, record it, in case of self-defense, you are allowed to record it, especially, I think mostly, I didn't check it in the human rights, but, in order of self-defense, you are not aggressive or you're not attacking them. You're just protecting yourself and your rights, So I'm just adding this.
Thank you. I didn't know. See, at the point that I was at, I didn't know any of that. And you speaking about that, I have a vague recollection of them wanting my bank statements to check that I had the relevant money to support my children if they were coming back. Yeah, there's various things that I'm remembering as you speak. Yeah. Um, yeah.
Oh, that's quite interesting you brought that up, because for some reason they always try to know how much money I have. They always try to give me a application so I can ask them for money, to pay something, like a lawyer or something. But due to the reason that I don't trust them, but also, a lot of lawyers don't step up against the child welfare. But also, I don't want to be anymore, in that situation, that I want to say something, like in your case, when the judge would say something like that, I mean, the last time when that happened, I just watched it, but in the end, I could look at him and look at her and said, you are biased. And, also, that's a in Germany, you would say, I don't know how to translate it in English, it's a misbehavior of the judge, right? So Rick knows it. But if you have a lawyer, he would always suppress you, because most of them are also they are trained also to protect the system as well. It's just my experience and my opinion.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on Facebook, see if there was any comments coming in. So our new group, Sister Nya, has set up. What is the name of the group, Facebook group that we're getting everyone united? Uh,
I have to look it, but it is something about free our children.
yes, and I just put number 72 in, Sister in the UK as well. She just, Sister Lisa, she just joined. And as we were having the conversation, and she made 72. And
Oh.
72 is a significant number and a good divine indication as well.
Oh, it's not.
So
It's named
70,
Free Our Children Through Unification.
Thank you.
72 is I know you say it's a divine number. It's my number. My birth date is 27872. The 7 and the 2 and the yeah.
Perfect, fully in alignment.
Yeah, it's divine script.
Yeah, and the 72 archangels, if you will, are very important as well. So I would say what you were feeling, Nikki, as this being a pivotal point. I believe the 72 in the least is a confirmation of that. But what was so joyous and kind of I don't have expectations, but let me say I didn't really anticipate that we would have went into the important Kundalini awakening and the higher consciousness with us. So it was the great opportunity as well, because many moms, have gone through that as well. Typically, in the past, with a spiritual development, typically, in the last 100 years, but even beyond that, one would not enter their spiritual development until they were approximately 49 human years of age. Then they would begin to change with their perspective and more of their alignment with God and becoming more spiritual and, perhaps even more religious, but more connected with God and knowing more of, the real truth of things, and their gifts typically would become more heightened once they reached that age. And it was very important back then, but today and since 2012, more predominantly, it's happening at any age that the Kundalini awakening is occurring and ones are advancing into a rapid spiritual development and the intuitive knowing and all of the parapsychological gifts that comes with it, not meaning that every individual will have every parapsychological gift at once, but you have access to it and everything is designed with the parapsychological gifts that you will use at any given time in this now. Uh, so, yeah, before it used to be around 49 years old, then the consciousness would begin to transition to acclimatize with the spiritual root, ready for the soul in preparation to go through the experiences, to make amends, to forgive, to forget, accept, their life experience up until age 49. That was typically in the past to prepare them, if you will, for their individual ascension through the death process. But now everything has changed, which is very beautiful. So getting back to, yeah, thank you for bringing that up because so many moms, the divine feminine, when we say that, is ahead of the charge, if you will, with this ascension because of the unconditional love that they have with the maternal instinct and with the bonding of the child. But do you wish to say anything, Sister Nya, or we'll ask Nicki when she comes back if there's anything she'd wish to add with her story?
Oh, I want to add something which I feel it's very beautiful because it is similar to my process. Because with everyone I'm speaking who went through that process and is still, in a loving and not in a hateful state, but also in a very powerful state, went through a deep process of trust and faith in the divine, or, in God or God's source, or Jesus. And that's amazing. I also, at my deepest point, I went in such a deep trust and faith, with that whole process. And it's beautiful to see it in others as well.
Yes, yes, that's perfect. And it's important to keep positive and in the trust and the faith. Then you'll more readily see the miracles, but you'll see the abstract divine force come in and support you. The more you stay in faith and trust and positivity, if you are in your individual battle with child care services, if you're aware and you trust enough, you'll see magically how things will set up to facilitate your getting your children back. There are so many ways. It's not to consciously expect what you would want to have or what you need. It is to be aware neutrally and examine what comes in, how you can use it to your value, because this is the abstract divinity. When you trust, you create this energetic loop that you will be provided with exactly what you need to persevere and advance forward. And then it becomes exciting and it instills even more of that trust. How you can see sometimes magical things will occur that benefits and supports you. And then you begin to know that, yes, divinity and God is actually real. And when you're aligned with God and in that trust, it happens much more quicker and much more powerful. But the thing is, don't expect how it will occur. Be neutral and be observant. Do you have anything else, Sister Nicki, to add?
No, I don't. Thank you. No. Sorry, I had to go off then because the alarm started going off on my vehicle.
Well, good energy. Anything else, Sister Nya, you wish to put in?
Oh, I'm just so grateful for both of you for this chat, I would say, or collaboration. But also, again, Nicki, I'm very grateful that you stepped up and being so honest and shared with us your gifts and your whole story. It was very brave, and you are a very powerful soul. And you are an amazing mom.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I would like to say, so the alarm kind of threw me because the alarm started going off as you were talking. Yeah, no, I want to say thank you, thank you for giving me the space to actually share my story properly, from a grounded space, sort of 5 years on. Um, so yeah, thank you, thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And with that, I believe it's getting late here too, and I feel we've come to an end. We had a great experience what Nicki shared, and it give us the opportunity to also add and to bring everyone together and solidify it and make it stronger and to be a micro example of what is to come and what is coming here as we unite all of the moms and identify and recognize that the tactics with the system are the same, and but not to recognize all of the problems, to recognize the solution, and that lays in the unity of all and the empowerment, and to say enough is enough. It stops here. No longer does this go forward. So when we have enough saying that, which we are doing, we're making amazing headway. It's been a tedious journey in the last month and a half or so getting to here, but what we are seeing is the great unity and the knowing by the moms that there really is no other choice. Nothing worked in the past. It's time to unite and go with this ultimate solution and to empower, educate very quickly, um, everyone so that we end this once and for all, not only for ourselves that are involved, but for all children worldwide and all of the parents where the children have been stolen from them, unlawfully taken from them. And it is the moral obligation of the people to stand up and say, no, these governments are not representative of what we want. These governments would not be in place if it was not for us majority people. And we do not want these governments and child care services taking our children. So what we are doing, if you will, is firing the governments because they have failed. So the people knows what to do and knows what the laws is and what we really should be experiencing here on this beautiful planet. Joy, peace, harmony, love, family units together, not the suffering and psychological torture and terrorism and sadistic killing of people because of money and all of these other sickening things. So beautiful. I could ramble on and on, but thank you all for uh, being here tonight and all that are watching. And we continue on. So I have put in the Facebook what we have running now, the link to the private group Sister Nya has arranged for all of the moms and dads as well to come in. So we unite everyone, all organizations, and to get everyone together as one unified voice and skill set, all different skill sets added together as the one huge supportive think tank. Well, we don't really need a think tank. We are already it. We have all the mechanisms. We just need that unity and sharing and dispersing and distributing the information to all, and we get it done. So, with that, I'll stop the recording, I believe, and love, light, and gratitude to everyone. And I have that stopped. I think we may still be on Facebook, but that is good. So with that, what we'll do is we'll end this meeting because I think it may still be going on Facebook.